Today, I'm going to do a little bit of talking about the heart and the head or the mind. And please feel free to throw your comments in as we go. I'll try to respond as I talk. I can't really respond while typing and talking at the same time, so it will be verbal, or I will chat to you afterwards. But it'll be nice to have this as more of a conversation than just a monologue. It's quite lonely doing these on your own. I'm starting to realize in these few minutes. So anyway, the head and the heart. I had a thought a while back. It popped into my head that your heart knows where it wants to go. Your mind will understand when it follows. It's definitely words that I needed to hear. I'm a person who spends a lot of time in my head. I tend to overthink things a little, especially matters of the heart, which I'll get into, but we really shouldn't be thinking too much about. And so it's important for me to have heard those words so that I could just start moving forward with some of the things I know I want to do in life. So when I was preparing for this, I put out a story on Facebook and Instagram. Some of you may have seen that. And there I asked people, are you more mind or heart? Are you more head or heart? The responses were quite interesting. For those who are interested in statistics, it was about a 50-50 split, which is not surprising. But one notable comment that I have to mention is somebody responded by asking me, is there such a thing as MART? MEART. I thought, well, yeah, that's quite a nice way of putting it, where there's a little bit of a combination of both, a little bit of both happening there. And what I like about it is that actually, if you look at the word, you could also say it as "niet," which tends to be what happens when the confusion kicks in. You don't know where to look, you don't know what to do, you don't know, and so I tend to freeze. I do nothing. And some people tend to go down a very safe, rational route, which is what the head likes to do. It takes an overly calculated risk. But if you think of when you've seen other people do this, over calculated risks tend to be quite boring and a lot less satisfying. And I tend to feel that's not why we're here. We're not here to do boring, dull things. We're here to have a little bit of fun and have a bit of an adventure. And often that adventure is felt most in those spontaneous moments when the heart just leads you forward. I know for me, it's the surprises that I tend to do best because I haven't got time to think. I just launch straight into it, and I don't try reference back to past experiences, what could happen, what might happen, what could go wrong. I just go for it. And if I see that things are not going so well, I make a different choice. I choose something else. And I think that's something we really need to think about when we get stuck in the space of what voice do I listen to in my head? What should I go for? Is that my head? Is that my heart? Because after all, everything that happens in the heart is processed through the head anyway. So it's got to get there at some point. And then the messages can get so confusing. We don't know whether we're coming or going. And actually, sometimes in those moments, it's best to just pick one and go with it. So what do you think? I haven't had one comment yet. This is not good. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to have something else to talk about. Do you feel that your head is in charge or your heart is in charge? The head is always involved. As I say, matters of the heart always get processed through the head. But if it comes from here first, and you don't dwell on it too much, that's when the adventure happens. So how do you stop dwelling on it too much? You make sure that your head is not in charge. Your head is following your heart, but processing it and choosing the calculated risk to take. One of the biggest choices that I've made in my life was my move from South Africa to the UK. And it took a long time to get to that point where I could bravely just take myself here. I'd felt it in my heart for a long time, years, in fact. And I'd shared that with a few people, but I'd never really processed it beyond my fears. My head just put a whole lot of barriers in place and stopped me essentially from making the move. I found every reason not to. And then it was one moment of clarity where everything was just perfect, when things just fell into place. And it was at that point that I knew that it was time. And I just started to sell up my house, sell up my car, uh, and not even make plans for the future. Just knowing what I wanted to do, I knew that lifology was what I wanted to do. So I had that compass setting in my ready to take me in the right direction. But all the logistics of moving can become quite a nightmare and can become quite scary. And I just tackled one after the other and just went for it. And it's so lovely to hear to see some comments here. Thank you, thank you, Ryan. You say you go further by checking in with your gut after hearing what the head and heart had to say. Yeah, that's a good one. So, how does it feel? How does it feel in your body? And sometimes we only focus here, but you're right. You can feel it anywhere. And what does that mean to you? That can also really determine where you want to take things. Kevin, you say you're definitely an overthinker. Yeah, well, I said earlier, yeah, I can relate. It's in fact the times I get stuck in life are when I'm overthinking, and the times I move forward is when I've distracted my head. It's one of the tactics that I use. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. Where when I was talking earlier about a surprise, you distract your thoughts, you distract yourself from what you know is going to scare you, and you trick yourself into the situation. That's always a fun thing to find. It's a fun situation to find yourself in when you look back. You go, oh yeah, I was afraid I wouldn't do that, but actually I did it, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. Okay, I can't see everyone's names, unfortunately, when it feeds through to StreamYard. But thanks also for comments here. My female antenna help a lot. The times I've hesitated on my gut feeling have not been good results. Yeah, it's good to learn that. It's good to know that eventually. And it's also, I think, when I originally launched this question out in my story, people immediately interpreted heart as matters of the heart, where we talk about that in a romantic love sense. But actually, what's close to your heart are often your biggest dreams and your biggest desires. So when I say, do you go with your heart? It's not necessarily only in matters of love. It's matters of love for yourself, fun adventures for you. Nice. Yeah. So there's a lot. You're all commenting about how you have this extra check and balance, and that helps you out of the stalemate, the mert I was talking about earlier, where the mind and the heart get stuck, pulling against each other. And you don't know what to do. It's good that you've learned those tactics, because it is different for everyone, and it's something that people will talk through in therapy or in coaching, to find something that works for you. And it's usually based on a past experience where you've done it and it's worked, but you've forgotten how you've done it. And it's just taking that and working through it and realizing, so that's how I managed to get it right. So is it actually a problem to get stuck? Is it actually a problem to sit with something for a while? Is it a problem to act on impulse? Really depends on what you're grappling with. And definitely the advice that we always give is, or we ask, is it a calculated risk? It's not so risky that you're putting your life in danger or the lives of others. Indeed, if you have a family, are you putting any dependents at risk? It's all about knowing that in the end, things may not go the way that you want them to go, but that's okay. Because when you see what will happen, you see the consequences, you can then do something different and you can change it. Thanks for watching. It's a short one tonight. Definitely when Jodine and I are on here together, it goes on a lot longer. We've got a lot to say together, but it's been lovely spending time with you. Thanks for your comments. Please add any comments below, and if you haven't already, and I'll respond to them when I get off this. But lovely to chat, and see you all again soon.